Baltimore City Fire Department.
Yes, I need an ambulance.
Yes, ma'am. To what location?
In the 4300 block of West Bay Avenue, there's been a vehicle accident involving a tank truck.
Okay, ma'am. Do you know if anyone was trapped in the vehicle or thrown from the vehicle?
I can't see from where I am.
Okay, and you wouldn't happen to know if any hazardous materials are involved in the truck?
Okay, all I see is something leaking from the vehicle, but I can't tell anything from here.
Okay, ma'am. I'm going to get the paramedics and the fire department on the way. That's the 4300 block of West Bay Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Hazardous chemicals are a fact of modern life. They are used in manufacturing and industry. They are transported over our tracks and roads. And they are used in homes, workplaces, pretty much everywhere. While, in general, chemicals are stored, handled, and transported safely, chemical accidents can threaten our health and safety.
Knowledge of existing local hazards and potential hazards, as well as careful planning by the local community, are essential to controlling this threat. To meet this challenge, Congress created a vital tool, the Local Emergency Planning Committee, or LEPC.
What was the genesis of the reduction of risk idea? Bhopal started it, an aldehyde release in West Virginia continued it.
In 1984, a pesticide plant accidentally released a cloud of deadly methyl isocyanate gas near Bhopal, India. Thousands of people died and many more were injured. People quickly realized that a disaster like Bhopal is possible in this country as well. Institute West Virginia demonstrated that potential when a chemical plant leaked aldehyde gas in 1985. The leak injured 6 workers and sent 134 area residents to hospitals for treatment.
It wasn't just the leak and the injuries that caused concern. In addition, there had been delays in notifying local authorities. A facility representative failed to man the nearby command post, and many people had no idea there had been a leak until they saw or began feeling the gas.
Congress held hearings, and 5 of these CEOs from the major chemical companies appeared, and in answer to the question, could Bhopal happen to America, in America, none of them could assure that it would not. As a matter of fact, all of them said it could happen here.
Major chemical accidents are very rare, but can be very deadly, and they don't occur just in factories. In 1947, a ship loaded with 2,300 tons of highly combustible ammonium nitrate fertilizer caught fire and exploded, killing hundreds in Texas City, Texas. And in 1978, in Waverly, Tennessee, 2 derailed tanker cars filled with liquid petroleum gas overheated and exploded. The 1,700-degree fireball killed 16 people and burned scores of others.
The Bhopal and Institute accidents led to federal action, the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act of 1986. Now, this act established requirements for businesses and governments. It mandated emergency planning for the prevention of and the response to hazardous chemical releases. It established the community's right to know about existing chemical hazards, and it created LEPCs to help achieve those goals. Unfortunately,
in addition to chemical accidents, we now face the possibility of intentional chemical attack. In 1995, Japanese terrorists released deadly sarin nerve gas in a Tokyo subway. 12 commuters died, and over 5,000 were injured.
And it was gradually sinking into us that this was something more widespread than just an isolated accident in New York. And when the news came that the plane had hit the Pentagon, we realized that this was something that was going to touch all of us. We've now all been alerted to the fact that some things that we otherwise would have thought were unthinkable have to be thought about. In addition to federal action, this new threat will also require a local response, and the LEPCs are the people who will be able to make sure that their community is ready to deal with whatever may come up.
LEPCs are community-based organizations which provide three basic things. First, they're a forum at the local level for discussions about and a focus for action in matters pertaining to hazardous materials planning. Second, they're a clearinghouse which provides local governments and the public with information about possible chemical hazards in their community. And third, and perhaps the most important, is that they're a link that helps citizens, government, and industry work together.
Although there are exceptions, LEPCs usually have jurisdictions that cover counties. People who belong to LEPCs include first responders, such as emergency response personnel, law enforcement, firefighters, and hospital personnel, as well as local and state government officials, the media, industry officials, environmentalists, community groups, and ordinary citizens. These people are most familiar with the hazards in their community and, as local citizens, tend to be the first responders to any chemical emergency.
And by having these folks involved in emergency planning before the emergency occurs, it best ensures a productive and effective effort if an emergency actually occurs in your community.
I live in the community, I have children, I have pets and animals, and like virtually every citizen in the country now, the environmental health and safety is a major concern.
EPA works closely with the LEPCs to provide them the tools they need to get their job done.
We have tried to do the best we could to ease the burden of the local community by providing guidance. A lot of publications. Chemicals in Your Community was one of the most famous ones. We've provided a Cameo system for dealing with recognition of risk on and off site.
We have some plume modeling with the low-haul MARPLOT and Cameo, which makes it a really easy, efficient way of getting information. It's just a whole lot faster than using books.
We have a frequently asked question documentation that we publish. We have a very aggressive website that encompasses a tremendous amount of information on all aspects of chemical accident preparedness, prevention, and response.
Just to know that you can pick up the phone and call someone in Washington and get an answer, it goes a long way toward helping you make your plans, determine how you're going to handle things, and what steps you're going to take to prevent future problems from occurring.
In a nutshell, an LEPC collects information about chemical hazards, develops a plan to respond to chemical accidents, and helps see that the plan is implemented and works.
At our LEPC, we've identified hazardous chemical sites in a number of ways. Some are very obvious. You can drive down the street and see a big chemical facility, and obviously that would be one site.
We also do get the Tier 2 reports. We get those, review those with the hazardous chemical reporting, that type of data we get from companies.
Our fire department within the city visits, or at least they try to visit annually, every structure within the city.
Some of our other, maybe non-obvious chemical hazards have been brought to us by members of the community.
By having our LEPC, we've been able to garner and get a lot more information from the various businesses and industries in our communities that we weren't able to in the past.
By law, facilities making, storing, or using hazardous chemicals are required to provide information about the types and amounts of chemicals present. LEPC members visit facilities in their communities to identify potential hazards, as well as to study the facility's plan for responding to an accident. In addition to fixed sites, LEPCs are concerned with the transportation of hazardous chemicals.
Basically, Breezewood is considered the town of motels. It's the intersections of Pennsylvania Turnpike, Route 70, Route 30. How many trucks could pass through in a day's time would be probably tens of thousands of trucks. The truck stop you see behind us in the last year, we've had 3 incidents already this year where we've had to have involvement of hazardous material response team.
LEPCs take the information gathered from surveys and other research and organizes it, often using a computer database.
This particular facility that we're looking at here right now is a major steel producing company, and currently our EHS chemicals which are stored there are ammonia, pyrene, hydrogen sulfide. It also talks about the emergency management coordinator for the municipality, as well as what the Allegheny County hazmat team gets dispatched to the call.
One of our designated tasks is to prepare and update the city's response and hazardous material action plan.
Any LEPC in the country should have a strong emergency response plan. The plan is the core to deal with chemical emergencies.
And I think that from a hospital viewpoint, emergency planning is so important.
The plan is not a book that sits on the shelf. The plan is something that has to be a living document that we all go by.
Emergency management plans reflect the unique character of each community.
Hazardous chemical response plans are often written as an annex to a larger multi-hazard emergency operations plan. The annex covers all of the special concerns and procedures that are unique to chemical accidents. A representative cross-section of LEPC members writes the emergency plan. Fire, police, medical, hazmat, and scientific personnel, as well as ordinary citizens, all contribute their own unique expertise and perspectives. Local facilities with hazardous materials that are covered by law are required to provide any reasonable detail of information needed to develop the plan. Computer database and mapping programs are essential tools that help emergency planners organize the data collected, as well as anticipate potential hazards.
For example, you can mark out your risk assessment. This particular community is the one I live in. We show the lumber company, we show the railroad, we show the gas station. We have Sentinel Trucking, which is part of DuPont. We can show our evacuation centers. That's here with the E's.
Having analyzed the potential chemical hazards, LEPCs then assess the prevention, preparedness, and response capabilities of facilities, transporters, and the community.
But a sensible plan will first identify the facilities in the community that could present a risk. It'll identify the processes to be used in emergency response, including in evacuation. It'll tell people what they should do. It will deal with the assets that are available in the local community to provide assistance. It will deal with the process that will be used by the medical community. It will deal with an exercise and training program over time.
An emergency management plan is evaluated and kept up to date through the regular collection of new data, via review of actual responses, and with the running of exercises.
The key ingredients to having a good, effective response plan is to be able to drill it, to get the responsible parties involved to practice the plan, whether it be tabletop or it be a field exercise.
This is Terratown.
Terratown is a recreation of Anywhere USA. Basically what we use Terratown for is to simulate areas throughout the United States, not any one area in particular. And what we do is we allow emergency response groups to come together to simulate possible incidences or experiences that may occur inside their town.
Full-scale scenarios, such as this one involving a train wreck with a truck and a van full of children, can require the participation of numerous community responders. By having picked out the most hazardous chemicals, responders can train for the worst-case scenario. And if they are prepared for a worst-case scenario, they will be able to handle less serious challenges.
Then you can come back and refine and work on the plan and make it better for all the citizens.
And our LEPC has taken on the attitude that our job is to not write new programs, but try to enhance existing ones.
In June 1997, our fire department had the opportunity to respond to a train derailment that involved hazardous materials. There were several LEPC agencies, members, groups that responded to that emergency from the private and public sector. And had it not been that we all get together on a monthly basis and train together and meet, that it would have been a whole lot more devastating than it actually was.
The facilities that handle and store hazardous chemicals are often active members of LEPCs and can provide many useful resources.
The building that we're in now is a building that was formerly occupied by one of our transportation units, and we felt that there was an opportunity to lease this facility to the LEPC of Erie County at a rate of $1 per year lease, and that would benefit the overall community.
And the mutual aid includes things like manpower, expertise, and equipment. Spill cleanup materials, neutralizing agents, that kind of thing.
Plus, like I say, my job's 30% of that, so figure 30% of my salary is devoted to working within that organization.
My background is in occupational health and safety, so I think my background in knowing how chemicals will interact and affect humans in the community is essential, being part of the LEPC.
You've got to remember that some of these communities are not large. They may be in rural areas, and some of the few real technical people may be working at a chemical facility.
Another valuable industry contribution is the American Chemistry Council's TransCare Whistle Stop Tour. This special train provides first responders with hands-on experience on everything they might encounter during a rail accident.
We had tank cars from different chemical manufacturers with certified instructors in them to give us the insight on how the car is constructed, what the different things to look for on them, safety valves, features.
I think there's a stronger outcry for community right to know, to have information about what does exist within the community than there may have been 10 years ago.
As the chairman of the local emergency committee, I am responsible for providing that information to you if you're particularly interested in one chemical company.
The information is available from the LEPC. They can call down there to our local LEPC office and get information. They can go to the library, they can go to the local fire department, they can go to the local EMS, the hospital.
We've had people call in and request copies of the plans, and we've sent them to them.
They can get contact information on how they can go to the individual plants and find out details about what each plant is doing.
The most important information you get from our LEPC here in Kanawha County certainly is how to protect yourself in case of an emergency.
It is the responsibility of LEPCs to reach out to the general public about hazardous chemicals and to explain what actions they should take in the event of an accident.
But education is very vital. That's one of our primary efforts, is to educate the people in Beaver County about the chemical plant that might be in their neighborhood and what happens if there is an emergency there.
The people who feel disenfranchised are the ones that you need to do more of an outreach toward.
We have a speaker bureau set up that we do go out to different groups from time to time and work with them.
We sponsor an oil spill video that we show continually on Channel 31 of the Arlington County network. And we have pamphlets that's in 3 or 4 different types of languages.
And we also have a web page that you can find us on the internet.
What the Allegheny County LEPC has done in the phone book, back in the blue pages, we have 7 pages of information.
We produce a newsletter that provides information of what member agencies are doing, what the LEPC itself is doing.
And at the back of each calendar, there are detailed emergency information.
We have a bus here in the Kanawha Valley that has shelter-in-place information on the sides of it, and we've gotten tremendous positive feedback from that.
LEPC meetings are held to address normal administrative issues, to respond to plans that for some reason have become controversial, and to provide information and to answer questions following an accident.
We do ask the public to attend. All of our meetings are public meetings.
So if anybody has any concerns, I guess I would urge them to contact LEPC and to attend community meetings like we have.
LEPCs have become a vital community resource. Still, LEPCs face many challenges, whether it's uncertain resources, raising public awareness, the growing number of chemical sites, or the specter of terrorist threats. But in spite of these difficulties, LEPC members are a determined group because they've seen what individuals can do to make a difference in their community. And they know the secret to an effective LEPC.
That the secret to a successful LEPC is powerful leadership.
And to try to make sure your group is as diverse as possible.
It's simple. It's a large mix of people from a lot of different areas, a lot of different expertise.
Of folks who have already expressed an interest in participating.
Citizens, there has to be an active citizen participation.
Up there so we can have good representation at every meeting.
Teamwork. I think teamwork is very important.
Handled. And only when people are really honest and willing to communicate.
Well, an effective LEPC is an LEPC that's very involved in the community.
And those organizations need to have the resources, the financial resources, the training resources, the equipment, to really do their job right.
Perhaps LEPC should stand for Let Every Person Count.
To learn more about LEPCs, contact your local emergency management office. The U.S. EPA's website, shown here, has a directory of LEPCs. The website provides other valuable information as well. Finally, the EPA's Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know hotline is another information resource at your fingertips. Just dial 800-424-9346.
And now it's your turn. Take advantage of the information available about your local LEPC. See how you can get involved in protecting the very health and safety of your own community. After all, it all comes down to you.